At our daughter's first birthday party, my husband ordered a special dish just for his assistant. Without a moment's hesitation, I sent a message to my lawyer friend to draft a divorce agreement. When he saw the papers, Adrienne Thorne laughed, a sound laced with fury. There were 100 dishes at the party, and you're fixated on the one for Nenah? Can't you rein in your possessiveness for once? Say what you want, my voice was calm. I'm getting this divorce no matter what. When I hurried back into the banquet hall, my husband's assistant was occupying the seat that was meant for me. She wore a gown in the same color scheme as Adrien's suit, her every move exuding the air of a hostess. The assistant and the boss actually look really good together. The boss comes to work with her every day. They might already be living together. The words of my husband's employees reached my ears, and my heart felt like it was being squeezed by an invisible hand. Seeing me return, Nenah Vance apologized with a victim's tone. "Stella, it's all my fault. I was so clumsy and spilled red wine on your dress. You're not mad at me, are you?" Before I could respond, Adrien spoke first. "Don't I know what you're like? Go sit at table 3. I've ordered you a bowl of porridge." Everyone praised Adrien for his thoughtfulness towards his colleagues. That girl just said her stomach hurt, and Mr. Thorne ordered her porridge. Her foot was bleeding from her shoe, and Mr. Thorne put a bandage on it for her. To have such a considerate man, his wife is truly blessed. I smiled on the surface, but my nails dug deep into my palms. Adrien used to despise incompetence more than anyone. Sometimes he would fire an assistant in a fit of rage for simply printing one extra name tag. Such patience was something even I hadn't seen from him in a long time. "Today's star is my daughter. Let's not talk about me," Adrien said flatly, offering no explanation. The birthday celebration was about to begin. He stopped me as I was about to stand up. "I forgot to tell you, I've already chosen a godmother for Luna." Before I could react, Nenah hung a safety charm around Luna's neck. She placed a kiss on her daughter's cheek. "From now on, I'm Luna's mommy too." When she looked up, the challenge in her eyes was unmistakable. The ceremony was kept simple. Just as it was about to end, Adrien suddenly interrupted the proceedings. According to tradition, now that she has a godmother, Luna should kowtow to Nenah to complete the ceremony. Kowtow? I frowned. Luna's only 1 year old. Kowtowing can cause suffocation and brain damage. "Can you think before you speak?" Adrien's tone was sharp. "Is it really that Luna can't do it, or do you have a problem with my choice of godmother?" "All right, Mr. Thorne, I've already given her the safety charm, so the ceremony is complete." Nenah interrupted our argument. The man who had been arguing fiercely with me just a second ago immediately calmed down. "May I say a few words of blessing for Luna?" With an approving glance from Adrien, the microphone was placed in Nenah's hand. I scanned the table. A wine glass with a residue of red wine stood out. Nenah smiled, her eyes crinkling. "I heard Luna is an IVF baby. Looking closely now, she really does seem to lack a bit of human touch. IVF babies must be especially delicate. It must be hard on you, Stella. Oh, by the way, does Luna know she comes from a lab?" Slap. The crisp sound echoed as I walked off the stage and slapped Nenah across the face. Her head whipped to the side, and her eyes welled up with tears. Another crisp slap. Adrien's face was cold. "That's for Nenah, from me." With that, he scooped Nenah into his arms and left the hall. The room fell to a stunned silence. I forced a graceful smile. "Everyone, you may begin your meal." Back home, the left side of my face was still throbbing with heat. After putting the baby to sleep, I lay on the sofa, my cheeks damp with tears. My heart felt like it was being pounded by dozens of lemons, sour, swollen. Even breathing became difficult. It wasn't until late at night that the sound of the door opening was heard. Adrien reached out to touch my face, but I flinched away. "I was wrong, Stella." He knelt on the floor, his face gently brushing against my knee. "But you were the one who hit her first."
Nenah was drunk and talking nonsense. How can you take a drunk person seriously? He smiled at me, straightened up, and brushed his nose against mine. Will you forgive me? In the moonlight, I saw the lipstick stain on his collar. I picked up the agreement from the table and handed it to him, my voice heavy with exhaustion. Adrien, let's get a divorce.
Divorce? The expression on Adrien's face froze. He took the agreement and flipped through it repeatedly. After confirming I was serious, he threw the papers in my face. Are you insane, Stella Hayes? Luna just turned 1, and you want to divorce me? Do you think divorce is something that can be done with just a few words? I know I was wrong today. I hit you, but everything happens for a reason. I've already apologized. When are you going to put away your princess attitude? Get it straight. You're a mother now. A harmonious family should be the top priority. He went on and on, oblivious to the tears streaming down my face. The sting on my cheek intensified as my tears burned the scratch left by the stable. Adrien instinctively reached for his wallet, but his movement froze as if someone had hit pause. You gave your bandage to Nenah, didn't you? And you even ordered a special bowl of porridge for her. Faced with my questions, he seemed composed. So what? It doesn't mean anything. Getting a divorce over a bowl of porridge and a bandage. Stella Hayes, you're making a mountain out of a molehill. Adrien's voice was too loud, waking the sleeping baby. Crying echoed through the living room. Watching his brow furrow in annoyance, I asked, Do you know where Luna's bottle and formula are? The sudden question left Adrien stunned. A sarcastic smile touched my lips. Of course he wouldn't know where the formula was. Since our child was born, Adrien had always considered childcare to be my job. It had nothing to do with him, the father. Holding the bottle, before I went into the bedroom, I signed my name on the agreement. You should sign it too. Otherwise, I'll file for divorce on the grounds of your adultery. You won't get anything out of it then. Adrien still wanted to argue. I reached out and touched the face I had once loved so deeply. Your mouth tastes of the red wine Nenah was drinking today. What did you two do? It's so hard to guess. When I came out after putting Luna back to sleep, Adrien was gone from the living room. The agreement had been torn to shreds and thrown into the trash can. Even the pen was snapped in two. A luxury brand bag sat quietly on the table. It was the thing Adrien had been hiding behind his back when he first came in. I opened it. A limited edition designer baby blanket was revealed. My eyes darkened. Since I became a mother, all the gifts Adrien gave me were related to the baby. He wanted to trap me, step by step, under the title of Luna's mom. My phone buzzed with 2 almost simultaneous notifications. A message from the law firm I'd been in contact with. We heard Attorney Hayes was taking a temporary leave after having a baby. We didn't expect you to reach out to us. We believe that with you on board, our firm will be even stronger. Here's to a successful collaboration. I replied politely. And as I exited the conversation, a new friend request popped up. The verification message was just 3 words. I'm Nenah Vance. The moment I accepted, her message came through. A photo of a towel with specks of blood and a bedsheet with damp stains. Besides the photo, Nenah said nothing else. I understood her subtext. A young woman, fresh out of college, with nothing to her name. She had already given everything she could to Adrien. Young people always have the courage of a moth drawn to a flame. In a daze, I seemed to see a younger version of myself. At 16, Adrien and I were the only 2 students from our small town to get into a prestigious high school. Adrien's parents, both middle school teachers, were so happy they held a 3-day banquet. But I, on the other hand, couldn't bring myself to tell my father the news.
With 3 or 5 empty liquor bottles at his feet, he sized me up while clinking glasses with a matchmaker. Damn it, my wife died early and left me with this money-losing good. Good thing she looks like her mother. She should fetch a good price, right? Adrien excitedly found me and asked when I was going to register for school. I stammered, unable to form a complete sentence. The door suddenly burst open, and my father's fawning voice came through. My girl is good at everything. As soon as you're ready on your end, I'll send her right over. They looked at me like I was a piece of merchandise. I lowered my head in shame, tears streaming down my face. I'm not going to school anymore. I have to get married. Do you want to get married? Adrien's voice was muffled. My reply was drowned in tears. That night, Adrien climbed up to the 7th floor with his bare hands. Under the night sky, his eyes were brighter than the stars. I brought money. Let's go. To school. Growing up, I was always taught to obey my elders. But at that moment, all I wanted to do was hold on tight to Adrien's hand. In high school, I was ostracized and ridiculed by everyone for my country accent and clothes. Adrien, being cheerful and outgoing, quickly blended in with the city kids. Sensing my resistance towards him, Adrien pulled me into a corner with a serious face. Stella, if you don't like me hanging out with them, I'll only be friends with you. Don't hate me. Suddenly, I felt a surge of confidence. All my insecurities erupted at that moment. I cried messily, and he waited quietly for me to vent all my emotions. From then on, Adrien would always find me eating alone in a corner of the cafeteria. Every day, he would drink the 5-cent a bowl white porridge with me. Faced with the strange looks from other students, Adrien was calm and resolute. I'm from a small town too. If you look down on Stella, you're looking down on me. Adrien and I fatefully got the same score on our college entrance exams. Tentatively, I asked Adrien where he wanted to apply. His answer was unhesitating. I'll go wherever you go. Adrien's love was passionate and sincere. Do you like... Just as I was about to ask, my father suddenly appeared in my line of sight. His eyes were bloodshot. I finally found you. You money-losing good, all grown up and running away with a man, huh? A steel pipe as thick as an arm swung towards me. Adrien shielded me with his body. He held me down tightly. Deprived of my sight, all I could feel was the increasingly thick smell of blood in the air. When Adrien was being loaded on the ambulance, he squinted in pain, his voice weak. I do like you. Will you be with me? My father was sentenced to 3 years for intentional injury. When we went to the capital for college, Adrien still had steel pins in his arm. After graduation, we decided to start our own business, sharing a bowl of plain porridge in a cramped basement. My courage was spent on that night we ran away, on the ambulance where he confessed, and during the difficult times when we persisted in starting our business. So now, seeing the photo Nenah sent me, I had no courage left to face it. The boy who ate plain porridge and simple dishes with me had finally lost himself in a life of debauchery.
It took me a week to pack up all my and my daughter's things. Adrien didn't come home during this time, but news about him never ceased to reach my ears. Adrien took Nenah to a business banquet, their arms linked the entire time, a clear display of intimacy. He bought out an entire new collection from a luxury brand just to make Nenah smile. According to news reports, Adrien booked the top floor of a lavish hotel, and after a private dinner with Nenah, they watched a private fireworks display on the terrace. My numb heart throbbed with a dull ache. Adrien's high-profile actions during this period successfully kept the headline, Jiangxi Group CEO suspected of marital strife, at the top of the trending lists. The comments were a mixed bag. If I were the CEO, I'd choose the assistant too. Youth is capital. They're so public about it, they've probably been divorced for a while.
I've been wanting to say this for a while. The CEO's wife has aged more than a little since having a baby. He looks better with the assistant. Once, an entertainment reporter spread a rumor that Adrienne and I were on the verge of divorce. Before the article was even published, Adrien intercepted it. He made the reporter apologize publicly, and that reporter was never seen in the news industry again. Adrien knew I cared, and he paid extra attention to every online trend. Now, this felt like a curtain falling on our marriage in advance. I arrived at my desk to find a mountain of files. I had been on leave for a week, and Adrien hadn't asked about my whereabouts. Pushing the files aside, I called my assistant, Cherie. Cherie's eyes widened when the Director of Legal Affairs nameplate was hung around her neck. I'll transfer the permissions to you in a bit. Tell the company's system that from now on, any files Adrien is too busy to approve should not be transferred to the legal department. Stella, are you and Mr. Thorne really? Yes, I said, my lips tightening. We're over. After dealing with all the piled up files, I took the divorce agreement to the top floor. As I stepped out of the elevator, I could hear a group of people laughing and talking from afar. Nenah, you're being too modest. I heard from Cherie today. That's right. No one else is fit for the position of Mrs. Thorne but you. He's just short of making your status official. We're all waiting for the day you'll be looking out for us. Nenah sat in the assistant's chair, her face radiant. Seeing me, she showed no surprise. Stella, are you looking for Mr. Thorne? After a week away, Adrien's office was filled with various mannequins and women's gowns. Nenah smiled at me. Mr. Thorne is taking me to a banquet tonight. I didn't know what to wear, so he brought all the new arrivals for me to choose from. When my daughter was just born, I was swamped. Adrien's office was spacious. I cautiously asked if I could leave Luna's bottle and milk warmer there, only to be sharply rebuked. This is an office, not a nursery. Seemed some principles could be changed. I lowered my gaze. Adrien, this is the divorce agreement. I've already signed it. He finally stopped what he was doing, looked at the agreement I placed in front of him, and then frowned. Take it away. I'm not signing. A gasp interrupted Adrien. Nenah held up a dress with the clear shoe print on the skirt. Mr. Thorne, this was the last dress my mother ever designed, she cried sorrowfully. Adrien's Adam's apple bobbed. Go wipe off the shoe print. He stared straight at me, his commanding tone making me increasingly annoyed. I didn't step on it. I won't wipe it. At my words, the crying grew louder. You were the only one who walked past there. Who else could it be? You know very well. Nenah's phone rang. After she answered, the speakerphone's voice was clearly audible to us. You damn fox! Who told you to seduce Adrien Thorne? You'll die a horrible death for being a homewrecker. I will definitely get justice for Stella. Her eyes looked vulnerable. Mr. Thorne, my phone is suddenly flooded with hateful messages. The veins on his hands bulged. Did you arrange for this? To do this to a girl who just graduated, Stella Hayes? Don't you feel ashamed? He signed the papers and threw the agreement on the floor. You make me sick. I picked up the agreement. No matter what sounds came from behind me, I never looked back. Adrien sat in his chair, breathing heavily. His gaze suddenly fell on a small lock of hair pressed under the divorce agreement. His pupils constricted for a moment. He rushed out of the office, but I was already gone. Hurrying downstairs, Adrien watched as I got into a blue Bentley.
In the car, my daughter was sound asleep in her car seat. In the driver's seat, Leo Sterling chuckled. Luna was crying for her mommy just now, so I brought her over. Who knew she'd cry herself to sleep? Looking at the man's face, which was almost identical to 7 years ago, I joked. If I had known you were at this law firm, I would have gone to another one. Leo's eyes sparkled with a carefree air. This was the only law firm I contacted when I came back. I guessed you would choose it. The atmosphere in the car suddenly became a little heated. I met his premeditated gaze, unable to say a word. I was about to look out the window to break the strange atmosphere when the car stopped. We're here. The law firm had arranged a new place for me. This was the first step in my new life. After unpacking, I came into the living room. My daughter was still sound asleep. Leo was lying on his side next to her, his eyes closed, his hand gently patting Luna's back. "What do you mean you can't find the car?" In stark contrast to our peaceful scene, Adrien smashed the cup on the floor. "That car took my wife, and you're telling me you can't find it?" The veins on his hand bulged and trembled slightly. On the table lay a small lock of our daughter's hair. A severed lock, a severed love. Stella Hayes was trying to cut the bond between him and his daughter. Adrien slammed his fist on the table. He would never allow this to happen. The ringing of his phone gave Adrien a sense of relief. At least she hadn't blocked him. The moment the call connected, Adrien spoke first. "Where are you? I just asked you to wipe a shoe print for Nenah. If you didn't want to, you didn't have to. How could you involve the child? Are you that childish? All right, Stella Hayes, come back to work. Bring the divorce agreement back. I'll tear it up and we'll live a good life." He spoke with restraint, thinking that this would make me obediently come back and continue to be his virtuous wife and loving mother. There was a pause on the other end of the line. My voice came through slightly breathless. "Adrien, are you insane? Do you think divorce is a game you can just call off whenever you want? I've already submitted the agreement to the law firm. A lawyer will contact you. Also," I sighed, "I'm not coming back to work. I'm the largest shareholder in Jiangxi Group. I can give up my position in the company. Don't call me again. Adrien, from now on, we go our separate ways." The line went dead. He frantically called back, only to be met with a busy signal. After all these years, this was the first time Stella had ever hung up on him first. Adrien could gradually hear his own heart beating louder and louder. He forced himself to calm down, his mind replaying their conversation over and over. Suddenly, Adrien realized something. The moment she hung up, he thought he had heard a man's voice on the other end. Something was gradually slipping out of his control. If he rushed home now, maybe he could catch her there and confront her. Adrien grabbed his car keys and, ignoring his work, drove towards home. On the way, Adrien rehearsed what he would say to Stella when he saw her. He imagined various scenarios over and over, never once considering that the house would be empty and silent when he arrived. Adrien had clearly seen Stella's slippers neatly placed by the door, yet he continued to call out her name. He called until his voice was hoarse. He finally noticed the house key on the table. It had a cute keychain attached to it. Once, Stella had bounced up to him, saying she had bought a trendy matching keychain set. He had refused with a stern face, but Stella had kept the keychain with her ever since. Everything in the house that belonged to her and their daughter was gone. It was as if they had never lived there at all. Adrien couldn't help but remember the first time he brought Stella here. After confirming that they would really be living here, her eyes had lit up with a smile, and she had danced around, planning to decor her dream home with him. An unprecedented sense of defeat washed over Adrien. Memories of him and Stella in this house replayed in his mind like a revolving lantern. The ringing of his phone shattered the silence. Adrien joyfully took out his phone, but his face fell when he saw the caller's name. A woman's vibrant voice came through. "Mr. Thorne, don't forget, we have an important banquet tonight. I have already cleaned the shoe print Stella left. I'm wearing my mother's final creation to the event." It was only now that Adrien realized. At some point, Nenah's way of addressing Stella had subtly shifted from sister-in-law to Stella. At the banquet hall, Nenah was waiting for him at the entrance. Seeing Adrien arrive, she pouted. "Adrien, what took you so long? Let me tell you, it was so awkward taking a taxi in this gown. You always used to drive me to these events. It feels a little strange now that you don't." As she whined, Adrien's mind was filled with images of Stella. Stella used to be that delicate too. How long had it been since he and Stella had gone to work together? Adrien closed his eyes.
Ever since their child was born, Stella's conversations had revolved around Luna. Nenah's appearance at that time was like a refreshing lime in a stuffy summer, a respite from her frustrating days. Nenah was a short break during a long lecture, but he would never deviate from the main path. "Adrien, are you not feeling well?" Nenah's concerned voice came from beside him. Her face was very close, a distance that would look extremely intimate to others. Adrien took a step back. "Just a little tired, it's nothing." When he and Nenah appeared in the hall, everyone's gazes lingered on them subtly or not. Rumors of their marital strife had been circulating for a long time, and Stella was still nowhere to be seen by Adrien's side. A few business owners who were on better terms with him came over. "Mr. Thorne, is good news on the horizon? Aren't you going to reintroduce us?" A blush crept up Nenah's face. Her grip on Adrien's arm tightened slightly. "Nenah, Adrien's voice was like a rusty music box, "is just my assistant." The sound of the microphone on the stage broke the crowd's slight astonishment. "Tonight we're adding a new event to the banquet. An auction. We've invited a niche designer from Denmark, and she's brought her latest masterpiece." The curtain was pulled back, revealing a gown identical to the one Nenah was wearing. The color instantly drained from her face. She didn't dare to look at the man beside her. "Nenah Vance," Adrien said, using her full name for the first time. "You said this was your mother's final creation?"
"I'm sorry, Mr. Thorne. Please don't be angry." She put on a fawning expression. "I was just afraid you'd look down on me for being from a small town, so I lied and said my mother was a deceased designer. I'll never lie again." His chest felt like it was stuffed with a large piece of cotton, making it hard to breathe. Adrien pulled his hand from her grasp and went out to the terrace alone. A small town. His eyes darkened. The memory of his first banquet with Stella overlapped with the present moment. It was their first invitation, and they were both a little reserved. Everything at the banquet felt new and exciting. They barely ate anything the entire evening, too busy toasting others. When it was over, they both instinctively headed straight for a street food alley. He loved Stella. He had always loved her. They were cut from the same cloth, their paths aligned. They were two parts of the same line that could never be separated. He had just dozed off in love. How did things get to this point? Nenah came out to the balcony, her eyes filled with tears. She pulled down her dress, revealing her rounded cleavage. "Mr. Thorne, I was really wrong. I'll resign tomorrow. I won't come to the company anymore." She saw his gaze fall on her fair chest and thought she was halfway to success. Little did she know, a thought suddenly struck Adrien. He had had ulterior motives in hiring Nenah as his assistant. She looked a lot like Stella in college. After that, the touch of their hands when she handed him documents. The slightly open collar when she bent down to pick something up. At social events, the faint smell of alcohol mixed with her perfume. It wasn't that Adrien didn't understand her little tricks. He was just too lazy to call her out. He was indulging in the thrill of being on the edge of morality and reason. Stella had fought her way up with him. How could she not understand his little games? She was just waiting for him to come to his senses. She had given him 10,000 chances, and he had squandered 10,001. His heart skipped a beat. "You should resign. The company will give you all the compensation you're entitled to. I'll have Leo contact you tomorrow." With that, Adrien turned and left the hall, not seeing the resentment and hatred in Nenah's eyes. At the new law firm, Leo Sterling pushed open the door. "Stella, your ex-husband won't accept my friend request." He whined like a big dog, resting his head on my desk. Luna was asleep beside me. Making sure not to wake her, I shot Leo a glare. "If he doesn't accept, then so be it. The divorce agreement is already signed. Everything is settled." He twirled a strand of my hair around his finger, his gaze on my daughter full of tenderness. "Didn't I tell you to wait until Luna is a little older before coming back to work?" I stopped typing. Since I have the time, I might as well get familiar with things. I'm not some freeloader being kept. Hearing this, Leo's fingers paused for a moment. "This is the Stella Hayes I know." "Attorney Hayes,
An intern knocked on the door. "There's a man outside who specifically asked for you. Do you want to go out and see?" I frowned. My location at this law firm was currently top secret. The only person who could have found me was probably him. Adrien paced back and forth in the reception area. When he saw me, he wanted to approach, but hesitated. "Stella, you're really here?" When he saw the person behind me, Adrien felt a sense of vertigo, as if the ground had given way beneath him. "What are you doing here?"
Leo Sterling looked at Adrien with a condescending gaze. "Long time no see." My suspicious eyes darted between the two men. Leo was my junior in college. Adrien was in the finance department next door. They shouldn't have had any connection at all. "Stella," Adrien didn't want to waste time on an irrelevant person. "Will you come back with me? The workload at this law firm is so intense. How can you manage with Luna?" Right, Luna. Adrien had grasped at a lifeline. He and I still had a child connecting us. A child was the best way to tie down a mother. "Luna is still young. She needs a father. You wouldn't want her to be a child of a single-parent family, would you?" "I've already fired Nenah. We can go back to how things were, right? We can leave work together, buy groceries together, go home together." I sighed and sat down on the sofa. "We can't go back, Adrien. I've experienced a broken family, so I know the pain. I will never let Luna go through that." "Do you remember the day after I came home from the hospital after giving birth to Luna?" My setting question caught him off guard. My incision was still throbbing with pain. I wanted to lean on you for support. You shook my hand off, and then Nenah appeared in front of me. That was the first time I met Nenah. Have you forgotten? You once told me you would never hire a female assistant. Adrien's throat tightened. He never thought I would remember such a trivial detail. "You said I smelled of milk during my breastfeeding period, so I moved to the study to sleep." "Adrien, it seems you don't deserve so much of my love." Ignoring Leo's presence, Adrien knelt down directly. "Come back with me. I'm begging you." His face was filled with a humble plea. This was the last thing I wanted to see. "You broke your arm to save me from my father's beating. Since then, I never let you carry anything heavy, so you don't have to beg me now. Love is not something you beg for." "Adrien, let's just rely on our conscience. I'll take the market value of my Jiangxi Group shares in cash. You can keep the shares. Leo will arrange for you to sign the share transfer agreement. Don't come to the law firm anymore." As I was leaving the reception room, I remembered something strange I had seen in some documents earlier. "If you still trust me, after you sign the papers, go back to the company and look at the files yourself, especially the ones Nenah signed on your behalf." Just as he finished signing the share transfer agreement, Adrien's phone buzzed with a flurry of notifications. "Mr. Thorne, we don't know when, but we signed a large number of documents. It seems to be a partnership with Ren Corporation. Do you have any recollection? The supplies they've been providing recently are extremely unstable. Many merchants have come to us demanding an explanation." Ren Corporation. Adrien grabbed his jacket and rushed back to the company. Nenah had once told him her cousin was starting a business and hoped Adrien could do her a favor and help out. In his opinion, Ren Corporation was too small, and its production chain was extremely underdeveloped. It was not qualified to partner with him. After politely declining, Nenah didn't show much displeasure. Thinking of the signature stamp he had left with her, a fierce look flashed in Adrien's eyes. As soon as he returned to the company, he was surrounded. Reporters, employees, and business partners. "Where is Nenah Vance?" He roared in his office. Leo answered with a slight tremble.
You sent me a message yesterday to let her go. She completed all her departure proceedings this morning and has already taken all her things. It was only then that Adrien realized he was set up. Within a day, the news of Jiangxi Group's collapse spread like wildfire.
Looking at the dozens of documents bearing his signature stamp, Adrien's head throbbed. He wanted to call a meeting with the legal department, but then he remembered that since I had left, there was no competent lawyer to take my place. He felt like a snake caught by its vital point. Jiangxi Group's reputation plummeted. The well-known law firms in the city, wanting to protect their own reputations, didn't want to get involved in this mess. A bunch of opportunistic cowards. Adrien was anxious. Was the empire he had built with his own hands going to be destroyed just like that? In his desperation, Adrien received a phone call. Leo Sterling's voice came through the receiver. "For Stella's sake, I'll help you one last time." The contracts he had personally signed couldn't be changed, but there was a glimmer of hope for the ones with the signature stamp. Nenah was summoned and charged. In the end, she was just a recent graduate. Her psychological fortitude was weak. She quickly confessed to her crimes, even admitting to orchestrating her own online harassment. Jiangxi Group couldn't be saved. The compensation payments had already consumed the vast majority of Adrien's capital. It was a miracle he wasn't in prison. The day Adrien left the capital, I took Luna to the airport to see him off. In less than a month, he had become scruffy and thin. A new layer of stubble gave his face a bluish tint. Combined with his dark circles, he looked exceptionally haggard. "I'm sorry to you and Luna." Tears streamed down his face. Adrien covered his eyes, not wanting anyone to see his vulnerability. "I saved you not because of our marital bond. It was because I was afraid a criminal record would affect Luna." "I know." Adrien gripped his plane ticket tightly. "I won't show up again after I go back to my hometown." Before he left, he clapped Leos on the shoulder heavily. "Don't forget what you told me. I hope you can keep the promises I failed to keep." Leo nodded. "That's why I came back." On the way back to the city, I couldn't help but ask, "When did you and Adrien meet? What promise?" Leo didn't answer directly. "It's a secret. I'll tell you when the time is right." The airport was far away, and the journey back was long. Leo looked at the sleeping face in the passenger seat. He wouldn't tell Stella. In college, he had once found Adrien. "You better treat Stella well for the rest of your life. I'm always ready to take your place." Faced with Leo's provocation, Adrien had dismissed it as a casual warning from a young kid. "You won't get the chance. Stella and I will be happy together forever." When he graduated, Adrien's business was a success, and he and I became a model couple in the business world. Faced with this situation, Leo chose to go abroad. When he saw the rumors of their marital strife trending high on the hot search list with no sign of being taken down, he knew his chance had come. Stella Hayes deserved a better love.